Hi, and welcome to week 9 of Unshackled with Tash. Hope everyone's had a beautiful week. Hope you got a lot out of the boundary session that you would have heard last week and the 6 core needs the week before. Both phenomenal topics that would have helped, I'm sure, a lot of people. And I hope things are starting to make a lot of sense for you guys, like starting to actually recognize your patterns. And I've had a lot of feedback of people saying that, wow, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. So thank you for the feedback. It's been lovely to hear. Today, what I wanted to speak to everyone about was something we call internal family systems, which is also known as parts work. And I'll just give a brief definition of what parts work and internal family systems is. It is the process of understanding that we are not just one single emotion, thought, or reaction. We have different parts within us: protective parts, wounded parts, angry parts, fearful parts, people-pleasing parts, inner child parts, and each part is trying to help us in some way, even if the behaviour is no longer serving us. So the goal is not to shame, silence, or get rid of these parts, okay? The goal is to notice them, listen to them, understand what they need, and bring them back into balance with compassion, awareness, and self-leadership. Now, guys, I'm going to go through a few different points here, which is something I do with my clients and I obviously teach within my program. And where I'm going to start is like an introduction, like what is parts work? And parts work is about understanding that not every feeling is all of you. You are not an angry person. A part of you feels angry. You are not a broken person. A part of you is trying to protect you. Now, this work helps us separate from the emotion instead of becoming the emotion. And when we actually understand that, you actually can start to recognize this pattern that you have when something goes wrong. I'll keep moving on. And I speak about this a lot with my clients and within my program, and that is the importance of language, the way we language things. Our languaging is everything. So, for example, we often say things like, I am angry, I am frustrated, I am anxious, I am overwhelmed. But that makes the whole body take on the emotion. A better way of languaging or saying this is, a part of me feels angry, a part of me feels unsafe, a part of me feels frustrated. A part of me is needing attention right now. And then this creates some space between you and the emotion. So then you become the observer. And with these emotions, what happens within the body, it's when a negative emotion rises, the body responds. The nervous system can go into what we call protection. And then the body may release cortisol and adrenaline. Your muscles tighten, your breathing changes, the mind starts looping for stories. So remember when I spoke about when something happens, your belief system and your stories, your gatekeepers will kick in, and you'll start looking for more and more stories to support the evidence of that feeling, that emotion, and things like that. And then the mind starts to looping, which is then we get those looping thoughts, right? And it's so hard. Once you start looping, it's a ball rolling down the hill, or like someone used to say to me, it's like a car going down a San Francisco hill and there's no stopping it. So the body prepares to fight, flee, freeze, or shut down. And this is why we must work with the body, not just the mind. Okay, guys? And the thing is, the part just wants to be seen and heard. It needs that. It's like a child, right? They're like toddlers having a tantrum. If you ignore a toddler having a tantrum, what happens? Come on, my parents out there. What happens when we ignore the toddler? They just get louder. And then we shame them, and then they become more reactive. But if we listen and validate and nurture them, they soften, right? This is the same as our parts. Every part of us is just trying so hard to communicate their need. And what happens is we ignore them and we push them down and we push them down. And we've done this since we were kids. And as we've gotten older, it gets worse, because what happens is more and more times that we ignore that part or we don't listen to it, we stack on and we stack on and we stack on. And this is those situations where I'm going to use this as an example. When you've seen it yourself or it's happened to you, you're going through the shopping centre and a trolley, a lady or man behind you, accidentally hits your heel with the trolley. Now, if you've got a lot of stuff going on and you're irritated, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're pissed off, whatever the emotion is, and you haven't dealt with whatever's gone on, that person's going to cop it. And you're going to, spin around with venom and give it to them if that's the state that you're in. A person that's regulated and got not much going on would just go, oh, and they'd say, I'm so sorry. And you'd be saying, no problem. I know it was an accident. It's all good. But somebody that's angry, frustrated, hasn't been listening to their parts, hasn't been doing any work, just keeps stacking on, will spin and flip. And that person didn't deliberately hit them, but they've copped everything that's inside that person. So what I ask for people to do when an emotion, comes up or rises, go back to basics, like pause, step back, observe what is happening, and actually ask, what part of me is showing up right now? Like, for example, did that person really deserve that amount of venom and anger and frustration and angst and pissed offness? No. So ask, wow, what just came out of me? And what part is showing up? And when we start to do this work and do the deep work, you will be surprised at what brings it up. And when we do this process where we step away and we look at it, it stops you from reacting, right? Rather than, we respond rather than react. And self-regulation is one of the first things that we need to do. And before you investigate the emotion, regulate the body. And what I suggest to people is to take 3 really big, deep breaths to reoxygenate. Like, I'm talking big, deep breaths. Ground yourself. Place your feet on the floor. If you're outside on the grass, which is even better, slow the reaction down and remind yourself, I do not need to react. I can respond. Okay, so this helps calm the cortisol and the adrenaline response. But if this is something you've never done, it's going to feel really unfamiliar and it's going to feel horrible, because if you're someone that's always been reactive and stacking a lot of stuff on that you haven't dealt with, me asking you to do that is going to be really uncomfortable. So one of the next stages is actually identifying the part, right? And ask these questions. What am I feeling? Where do I feel this in my body? What part of me is activated? Now that's a really radical, honest one, okay? Is this anger, fear, sadness, shame, rejection, abandonment? Ask yourself those questions, guys, because awareness is the first step to healing. And we can sit there and we can blame everybody else, and we can, it was that person's fault, road rage, that idiot did this, that person did this, that relationship sucks, that friendship isn't, good, that workplace sucks. Okay, all those things might be right, but what parts of you haven't dealt with things for yourself, for you to, 1, find yourself in this situation, and 2, to continue staying in this situation? This is where parts work and internal family system work is imperative to the healing journey. Okay, so that's the identifying it. So let's investigate the story. Every emotion has a story attached to it. Remember back to the stories, the beliefs? Yep. What story am I telling myself right now? Is this true? Is this old? Is this connected to my past? What belief is this part carrying? And the story often supports the emotion, which keeps the loop alive. And we all know that. So, for example, you got a bad text message, or you received a message and you've read it as a negative. And even though you don't have the facts or the evidence to say that it's negative, it's just the way you've perceived it because of your lens, your map, and your belief system. And your filter, that person could have written how they felt. And I've got this really funny reel on Instagram which I send people, and it's exactly that. One person sending it saying, oh wow, that's whatever, and the other guy is saying, oh whatever, well and he starts getting aggressive because to him whatever is a trigger, but to the other guy goes, yeah, hey, whatever suits you. And it just escalated from there. One's smiling and happy and the other's taking it as aggressive. So this is where you've got to start to go, what story am I telling myself right now? Is this true? Is this old? Where's it coming from? So start to actually recognize when you start to get yourself caught up in the story, because often it's the story that keeps us stuck. You are looking for every bit of evidence to support your story. Okay? And if we continue down that, it just escalates, right? And then the emotion gets louder and stronger. And then the next thing is understand the conflict, okay? Because our parts are in conflict with each other, okay? So ask, what parts are in conflict right now? Is one part wanting to speak up while another part wants to stay quiet for fear? Is one part wanting love while another part is protecting from being hurt? Is one part angry because another part feels abandoned? There's usually more than one part involved, guys. And then we go deeper with that part. So this is the work I do, okay? This isn't an overnight thing, guys, because these parts have been ignored and suppressed for many, many, many years, okay? So when we go deeper, it's what do you need right now? What are you trying to protect me from? What are you afraid would happen if you stopped reacting this way? What belief are you carrying? When did you first learn this? What do you need from me to feel safe? Okay? These are the kind of things we have to ask, right? And when you do this work with someone like myself or whoever else you are working with, it's amazing what comes up, okay? And we keep asking. And the answer is never truly, I don't know. And people will say, oh, I don't know. Because there is a part of you that does not feel safe enough to answer yet. So we need to nurture love, compassion, understanding, okay? Because those parts just want to be seen and heard. We need to stop abandoning ourselves, guys. We treat our emotional parts worse than we would treat an injured limb. Okay, so for example, if you've got a broken arm, a leg, or whatever, injury of some sort to your body, what do? We heal it. We fix it. We go to a doctor. We nurture it. We care for it. We protect it. Like we look after it. We don't let anyone knock it. Okay? We don't shame our limb. Okay? But what we do is we shame our parts. We shame our parts so we ignore them, and then we attack them and we make them feel guilty, right? So why do we do that? Why do we shame them? Why do we ignore them? Why do we attack our wounds? Okay? Or why do we attack our wounded parts? It's because they're parts of us that we've repressed and pushed down for so long that we don't want anyone to see them, and we're ashamed because we've taught them that that's where they should be, okay? And this is where it's really tough on the body, because the body remembers everything. As I've said 1,000 times in all my podcasts, my posts, the body keeps score. The body stores emotional pain. The mind may try to move on, but the body remembers. And this is why insight alone is not always enough. Okay? We have to do the healing. Healing requires emotional, mental, physical, and nervous system awareness. We need to listen to what the body is communicating. Okay? And this is another part to the parts work. We're either coming from the masculine or the feminine energy part, okay? So when we're angry, defensive, or pissed off, or whatever, frustrated, we may be in a protective masculine energy. That part is trying to guard us, to protect us. But sometimes the part just needs more feminine energy. So it needs calm, softness, compassion, nurturing, understanding, love, all of those things. So just ask, okay, what energy does this part need right now? We need a healthy balance. We need to harmonize these parts. We need to get all of them back on track, okay? We need to start to integrate them so they don't feel like they're a bad thing, because no part is bad. They're all a part of us, guys. They're all a part of us, and they deserve to be seen, heard, and validated. I have the most amazing, beautiful clients that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, that once they do this work, it's just this, you watch this shell open, and who they become is, oh my gosh, it melts my heart. And but sometimes, we just keep pushing them down and pushing them down. So what we need to know is, what energy does this part need right now for it to be harmonized, for it to have balance? What does this part need protection? Does this part need softness? Does this part need both? Okay? And this is where integration comes in. Okay? Integration means bringing the part back into harmony, which is what I just said. We do not exile it. We do not shame it. We do not let it run the whole show. We understand it, we love it, and we give it a healthier role, okay? And the thing I want to get across to everyone today is, you are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are not your fear. You are not your trauma response. These are parts of you asking for attention, love, safety, and healing. And when you stop fighting yourself and start listening to yourself, everything changes. And guys, this has been one of the most phenomenal processes I use with my clients, and it's helped hundreds of people. And obviously I use this within my program. Parts work and internal family systems is such an integral part to healing, and I would love to see so many people doing this. And this can start as young as your children. Start working with their parts. Stop shaming their anger. Stop shaming their emotion. Stop shaming their tantrums. Start to listen to what it is that they need, because their little brains don't function like ours. Okay? Start looking at that tantrum as one of your parts. Like, look at it and go, oh, wow, if that was me, what would I need right now? What does that little person need? Because that little person was you once upon a time. And when we're doing parts work, it is our little person that we're doing that work on. So guys, I hope that's helped. Like I say, I do a very baseline teaching, because there is so many levels to this and so many ways we can work with this. But it is a good example of what internal family systems, also known as parts work, is. I hope you got something from that. I look forward to sharing more with you next week. Have a fabulous week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.